This is Richard Wolff from Democracy at Work, responding to another Ask Prof. Wolff question from our Patreon community. This question comes from Daniel, and Daniel asks me to explain what the meaning of the term economic nationalism is. And I suspect Daniel has heard me use it and has heard others as well. It's a little confusing, so let me start right off with a basic definition. On one hand, the phrase economic nationalism is simple, and it refers to a perspective in any country that says that what they do economically is designed to benefit that same country. In other words, it's a kind of nationalism, a celebration of your own country, applied to the economy, that the economy is going to be controlled, regulated, organized to serve the broader national interest of your country. In one sense, therefore, it's a kind of useless phrase because it's a fair bet to assume that countries, in the part of the history of our planet when we've had countries, which most of the time we have not had, but in the modern world where things are organized into countries or nations, it basically is silly because those nations always are looking out to do what's best for them, at least as much as they are independent in deciding what to do. Colonies, of course, were controlled by another country. That's why we call them colonies. But since that is gone, we don't have colonies much anymore. We can talk about economic nationalism as being the general idea that economies are subordinated to the national interests of each country. So, why do we have the phrase? Because what countries decide is in their best interest isn't always the same. And one of the big divisions has been the division between countries who think it's in their best interest to protect themselves. We call that protection. It's a kind of economic nationalism. And the alternative is to say, no, let's not protect, let's have free trade all over the world. No country doing anything to privilege anybody, neither its own businesses nor anybody else's. And why would we have free trade? Because we are all better off in a world of free trade, the argument goes, than if each of us is trying to advantage ourselves and we end up hurting others. And when the dust clears, we're not as well off as that. So traditionally, the debate has been between protectionism and free trade. Protectionism, sometimes called economic nationalism, and free trade, sometimes being called, as it was in the last 30 years, globalization. Okay, quickly then, what's at stake? Free trade means that you think your country will be best off in a world where there are no tariffs, no laws, no taxes, no privileging of one country or another. Let everybody go out there, work hard, make a business, be profitable. And as Adam Smith said, that will be the way that we will be led to the best outcome, as if God Himself was leading us there. The alternative is to say, oh no, let's not do that, because the strongest and the biggest amongst us will demand and get free trade to benefit them and at our expense. So we have to block free trade. We have to protect our own industries. Quickly, some examples. When the United States was a young country, it was overwhelmed economically. Even after having fought the wars to get out of the British Empire, it needed to protect what it called its infant industries. Otherwise, they couldn't compete with the older, bigger, more efficient British industries. So we blocked the British off. We wouldn't let them come in. We were an independent country, so we could do that. And that created a protective wall. Cheaper, better British things couldn't come in. and American companies could develop meeting the American demand. Infant industry arguments are a kind of economic nationalism that protects an economy. Once the United States had used it and become a big powerhouse at the end of the 19th and into the 20th century, then the United States changed and became interested in free trade. Why? Obviously, because the United States was the big powerhouse producer and could outcompete everybody else on a level playing field, which meant many other countries found themselves in the same situation that the United States had earlier in its history, so they protected themselves. The United States denounced this nationalism in favor of globalization. In the last 10 years, especially under Presidents Trump, it began with Obama, but Trump and Biden, we are once again going back. We are not the top dog in the world anymore. The Chinese have outcompeted us on many levels. You notice they are all in favor of free trade. We are the ones having trade wars and tariff wars and protections and subsidies to our industry. It is very dangerous when you have economic nationalism because the struggle of each country for itself against all others makes it very hard to have alliances and makes it very hard to sustain peace in the world. We're going to be seeing much more of that because the turn toward economic protectionism, that kind of nationalism in the United States, is making the rest of the world very nervous about the consequences for them of an aggressive United States economically, given that it has such military power. If conversations like these strike you as interesting, useful ways to understand better what's going on, then please partner with us. Share the video, friends, neighbors, coworkers. Another way to partner with us is to go to our YouTube channel, Democracy at Work. Sign up there to be a subscriber. It's a way for us connecting to you, letting you know what we're doing, and hoping that you will make use of it as we go along. And also, of course, at the end, if you can help us with the financial costs of all of this, that will be appreciated as well. Thank you.